Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Let's just wait one more minute before we get started, just to give people a little extra time, and then we'll commence. Good morning, Holland Circular Hotspot. Okay, let's get started. We have a busy session, so yeah, I'll kick right off. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to this information webinar for the LCBA Canada project funded by the European Union. My name is Jose Canjura. I am the project team leader, and it is a pleasure for me to be here and joined by a group of LCBA Canada project team members. We're here to tell you more about the project. Let me start by saying that LCBA Canada is a project funded by the European Union. We are a consortium of different companies in Canada and the European Union working together to facilitate business collaboration between companies in Canada and the European Union. LCBA Canada is formed by ICF, CESO, the Technopolis Group, Climate Door, Delphi, and the Clean Tech Group. And before we get started, just a few reminders for the audience to keep in mind. The first one is that this webinar is being recorded, and it will be available afterwards at the LCBA Canada B2B platform. And feel free to view it again or share it among your network, especially with those who are not able to join us today. Also, another reminder, there will be a question and answer period after the presentations today. And but at any time during the presentations, if you have a question, feel free to pop it in the chat, and we will get to all questions during the Q&A period. And finally, there will be a brief survey at the end of the webinar. The survey will pop up automatically on your screen, and we just ask everyone, please take 1 minute. It will not take longer than a minute. Just take a minute to provide us with some feedback. This is how we will continue to improve the quality of the webinars and information that we bring to you. And without further ado, let's get started. And I will pass the floor to my colleague, Maria Cotari. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jose, and good afternoon from the Netherlands, where I am based. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our attendees, and welcome to the consortium partners. We're very pleased to have you here today. So from my side, I work as a principal consultant at Technopolis Group, which is also implemented the project together with the partners that Jose has already introduced. So from my side, I would like to draw the attention to our audience on the Europe's clean tech revolution that is really gaining a serious momentum right now. Not only with the European Green Deal, but also the newly introduced Clean Industrial Deal. The European Union is really ready to slash energy costs and drive competitiveness. And this is particularly for the clean tech domain. So big moves are coming. So let's think about incentives for clean manufacturing and also more resilient supply chains. And I would also like to stress out that this is not just a policy. It's really a shift toward a cleaner and smarter and more sovereign industry in Europe. So we understand, and this is where actually LCBA Canada comes into the play, that for the business leaders in the EU, the message is clear that acts coming now, and the Europe is really calling SMEs to lead the transition. And this also, this policy incentives will mean stronger support for scale up, and also clearer public procurement policies that will prioritize the sustainable solutions. I will stop here to pass it to my colleague Anastasia, that will more focus on the incentives for the EU SMEs to participate in this in the LCBA initiative. Anastasia, over to you.
Thank you so much, Maria. Hello to everyone. Hello, Jose, and all the colleagues working on the LCBA Canada project. Thank you, attendees, for joining us. Also, greetings from Amsterdam, from Europe. I would like, first of all, to thank you for joining and leave you with really one important message that builds on what Maria have just said, and namely how important and timely is this project now to support you as European SMEs. And the main reason is because it builds directly on the European roadmap for strengthening its competitiveness, which is formulated in Competitiveness Compass and builds on the Draghi report. And this report highlights two main messages: decarbonization of economy and internationalization strategy for the European SMEs, where there's a lot of incentives put through European means to support SMEs. And this project is also funded through European funding and has a lot of support that we can offer European SMEs to enter such strategic market as Canada. So as an action for you to take is really listen. Thank you for attending. Listen to what the project is about, how it can support you, and of course, then, as you will know, register through the freshly launched B2B platform. So with this, I would like to pass the word back to Jose Conjuga for introducing us into what LCBA stands for, what is the project offers, and how it can be useful for European SMEs. Thank you. And back to you, Jose.
Thank you, Anastasia. If we can move the slides over on the presentation, please. Next one, please. Next one. Okay, wonderful. Okay, I will briefly take everyone through a brief introduction to the project, and also with a focus on some of our key achievements. Okay, so the LCBA Canada, LCBA stands for Low Carbon and Circular Economy Business Action. This is a bilateral cooperation action funded by the European Union to drive emissions reduction and boost competitiveness in the green economy and the clean tech market. LCBA Canada has been active since September 2020. We started phase 2 of implementation quite seamlessly. There was no pause. We started in September of last year, and we are active for 3.5 years until March 2029. The project facilitates business collaboration between Canadian and European companies. We focus on facilitating support for European SMEs that provide innovative solutions that have a distinct positive environmental impact, that are scalable, that reflect a sound return on investment, and enable innovative technology transfer. Next slide, please. So how can the LCBA Canada project help you if you're a European company? Well, first of all, we provide market intelligence about the Canadian market. My colleague Jay will talk more about that shortly. Also, we provide matchmaking services, and we provide access to pre-identified Canadian market opportunities across the highest emitting sectors in the Canadian economy and among sectors where we know European innovation has a competitive advantage. We also provide access to different types of Canadian buyers and partners, and this is very important because there are different types of Canadian companies or Canadian partners that can benefit or maximize opportunities for different types of European solutions. For instance, we provide access to large Canadian corporates, to Canadian SMEs, and most recently, we have been partnering with Indigenous communities. And this last is a very interesting group. We know that Indigenous communities in Canada have a wide range of different needs, They need access to affordable housing, to water management, waste treatment, and energy solutions. And they are actively seeking European innovations or solutions that can help them achieve their sustainable economic development goals. Since LCBA Canada started, we have accelerated 6 partnerships with Indigenous communities, but an important takeaway is that there are more than 600 Indigenous communities across Canada. So there is a great potential for partnership opportunities with this group. LCBA Canada also provides business planning, project development support, and tailored technical assistance. All this comes to companies at no cost. And we work with successful matches to identify specific needs that can benefit from technical assistance. Another important benefit is that we help our company partners calculate the net environmental impact of the project or transaction they're aiming to implement. And this is very useful information, especially promotional information for our company partners. And also, upon signature of a business deal, companies are entitled to receive the LCBA seal, which you see here on the screen. And this is an endorsement from the European Union rewarding them for their sustainable business practices. Next slide, please. And just to summarize on some of the key achievements from the LCBA Canada so far, it is important to mention that we have created a strong network of partners, both in the European Union and in Canada. We have more than 600 potential Canadian partners, and these partners so far have provided more than 100 market opportunities during phase 1 of implementation. We also have more than 2,000 European companies already in our network, and 160 of these companies submitted solutions to market opportunities we launched during phase 1. And the project has accelerated 53 partnerships so far between Canadian and European companies. Actually, this was in phase 1. And we did this by facilitating more than 100 pitches or buyer-supplier conversations. And from those 53 partnerships, 11 signed business deals during phase 1. And during the first 6 months of implementation of phase 2, we have facilitated 4 more partnerships and 1 more business deal. Next slide, please. So how can the LCBA Canada project support your company? Well, if you meet our minimum eligibility criteria, which is listed here and which is also featured on our website, if you meet this minor eligibility criteria, we can support you. We can partner with you. We can, you have access to our market opportunities that we make available, and we can facilitate matchmaking services. The way the engagement process works is that once you review our market opportunities available, if you see that your technology solution is relevant to any of these opportunities, please get in touch with us, provide us with more information about your technology solutions, and then we will work to facilitate a connection with 1 or more Canadian companies that may be interested in your solution. Once a match has been identified, the LCBA Canada project works to organize buyer-supplier conversations. And this will give you the opportunity to discuss your technology solution with the Canadian company, pitch your solution, and discuss what a project may look like. The LCBA Canada project will work with you to provide business planning and project development support. And the objective is to arrive at the signature of a letter of intent. And the letter of intent will trigger the provision of deeper, more tailored technical assistance. Next slide, please. And just to talk a little more about the letter of intent, it is important to mention that the LOI is a non-binding letter signed between the Canadian buyer and the European company, which together agree to enter discussions and collaborate towards a potential business deal. The LOI is important for the LCBA Canada because it is the primary mechanism we use to report to the European Union on the partnerships we facilitate, but also the LOI triggers the provision of tailored technical assistance. By the way, if anybody has any more questions, please let us know. I am running out of time, but we have a few slides here that show and illustrate some of the partnerships that we have created. A recent letter of intent that we facilitated is between a Finnish company, Finrenes, and an indigenous community in Canada, the Chislata First Nation. They are working together to implement a system for the conversion of woody biomass into biomethane that will then be used to produce electricity. And one of our flagship business deals that we have recently achieved is between the Climate Change Company, which is a Romanian company, and Telos Communication, one of the largest telecommunication companies in Canada. And they have signed an agreement for testing the use of fiber optic cable waste to create litar, which is a process used to create asphalt, and that will be used for paving roads across Canada. This project has been flagged as a project of national significance and importance, and LCBA Canada continues to work with the partners and with some national federal government agencies to bring this project to fruition. On the last slide, the next slide here, there are just some testimonials, further information about some of the companies that we support. Of course, the presentation will be made available to all of you afterwards, so I won't go into detail here, but I hope that you found this information useful. If there are any questions or anything else any of you would like to know, please get in contact with us. Thank you very much. And now I pass the floor over to my colleague Jay Mather, who will provide more specific information about Canadian market needs and opportunities. Over to you, Jay.
Thank you, Jose. Next slide, please. So greetings from Vancouver, by the way. So in the Canadian assessment that we've been carrying out, we've identified 7 key major areas of focus for European innovations. This is a quick summary of the 7. So the first one is chemicals and fertilizers, which is about 30% of Canadian emissions. There's opportunities in Canada for decarbonizing chemical processes, carbon capture and storage utilization, renewable feedstocks, circular recycling. In agriculture, which makes up about 10% of Canadian emissions, there's focus areas on efficiency in water, in energy, in methane reduction, fertilizer, innovation, climate resilience, waste management. EU expertise in alternative proteins and biofuel production are key examples. Europe is typically further ahead than Canada on innovation and implementation. So this gives European businesses opportunities of bringing things that we have not yet seen in the Canadian marketplace. Buildings make up about 13% of Canadian emissions, as many people will know. The Canadian climate has many areas that are quite extreme. This isn't just cold, this is also heat. And Canada's been experiencing, for instance, heat waves that are amongst the hottest in the world because the Arctic environments of the planet are experiencing 4 to 5 times climate change than they are on the equator. So northern nations have a bigger exposure, ironically, to heat than non-northern nations. And so our buildings have a big opportunities for everything, including retrofits, low carbon materials, better waste management, smarter systems, modern methods of construction. And this is where Europe is 10 to 15 years ahead of Canada. In Canada, a vast majority of houses, for instance, are still built by putting 2x4s together. So we have a long way to go when it comes to benefiting from higher tech prefabrication, on-site or off-site solutions. Also things like heat pumps, resilient infrastructure. There's big opportunities in this space. Electricity Canada, ironically, has one of the cleanest grids in the world, where around 82% of our grid on average is zero emission. But what's interesting about the Canadian grids are it varies province to province quite significantly. One province can have 90% zero carbon electricity, the next one could have 20. So it's, as a nation, there's a wide variety of different applications of how we generate electricity. But as Jose mentioned, there's a lot of remote communities in Canada, specifically First Nation communities, where they still have no power source other than diesel generators because they are not connected to a grid. And in diesel generator environments, the electricity is not only incredibly expensive, it's also incredibly polluting. And there's also a number of other issues when it comes to waste fuel storage or spills or theft. And so what you need to be thinking about in those environments are Canada in many ways is a first world nation with many developing world attributes in some of these little micro communities. So there are opportunities which are quite interesting for European innovators to come into a remote community and help them wean themselves off diesel with renewable solutions for generation and storage. Expertise in smart grids, resilient infrastructure are generally more advanced than they are in Canada. Next slide, please. Forestry is a huge sector in Canada, as well as forest products. Huge opportunities in this space for bioenergy, electrification, alternative fuels, climate adaptation technologies, advancements from Europe in efficiency and value adding in forest resilience are highly relevant. There are already a number of European innovations in the forest sector that we've been working with, Finrennis being a good example that Jose mentioned. But there have been in phase one other ones as well, like taking lignin and turning it into pharmaceuticals, or taking lignin waste products from the forest sector and turning it into cosmetics. So there's a whole bunch of really interesting things in that space. Oil and gas is a huge sector in Canada. And although in Europe, oil and gas is not nearly as dominant, we have significant opportunities for methane detection and reduction and management and storage. We have some carbon capture, utilization, and storage projects in Canada that are amongst the biggest in the world. There's also opportunities for water efficiency, alternative uses for these fossil fuel materials, expertise, and all of this space and renewable fuels is what Europe has as significant advantages. Transportation is another massive sector. Obviously, Canada is very large, and there's 38 million people, so our population density is incredibly low, which means that the average Canadian transport emissions are higher than they are in most other countries in the world. We have public transport in major urban centers, but there is very little outside of those spaces. So we're in the process of the transition to electric vehicles, but there's also a huge hydrogen fuel cell sector, sustainable aviation fuels, and maritime decarbonization. This is another massive opportunity for European innovators. And as discussed, the Indigenous communities or First Nations present unique opportunities for piloting innovation. In Canada, it's quite a unique situation where in these First Nation communities, they sometimes have the ability to have self-determination of regulation. That means historically, Indigenous communities have been given typically less quality, lower value solutions for housing, for other solutions like waste. But what it actually opens up is a unique opportunity for European innovators that Europe doesn't have itself, which is the ability to have piloting spaces where European innovations could be brought in and utilized even without meeting the Canadian standards because they could be self-determined. So this is a big push for phase two because Europe doesn't have little sandboxes within the European Union where you could take a brand new technology and pilot it the same way we could in Canada. And that's highly unique. Next, please. So we have 7 key sector overview fact sheets, which you'll have access to. I'm going through one of them right now in a little bit more details. I've just picked buildings as an example. Next slide, please. So in each of these fact sheets, we have a big overview of the sector. We go into the importance of that sector, and then we go into drivers and leadership. So this is where we start to pull out and tease out the most important places where European innovations could help, the pain points and the challenges we have in Canada. So you can see here from this overview document that it talks about how many of the things I'd mentioned before around energy efficiency and smart systems and modern methods of construction But then you start going down to the buildings represent space into, 26% of Canada's plastic waste comes from the construction sector, which is basically not recycled. A significant amount of our GDP is in this space, and it's set for massive expansion. The Canadian government right now is embarking on what many would consider a wartime, like World War II level new house building agenda, because we have not been building anywhere near as many houses as there is a need for in Canada, and our housing is in many regions amongst the most expensive and unaffordable in the world. And so what we need here is this ripe space for innovation that has never been more focused than it is right now. There is a new housing is pushing for a massive advancement, 4 times increase in the number of new builds in the country. And they need a whole bunch of brand new ways of doing things, because we're never going to hit the targets that we want to hit with conventional building solutions. Next slide, please. And then we go into the clean tech challenge areas. We start looking at what are the main sections where we have the best benefits. And on the right, we go into opportunities and areas of alignment with EU strengths and solutions. So this is starting to get into the detail. And what's really useful from these sheets, these key fact sheets, key sector sheets, is all of this is put together on a couple of sides of A4. So you can see very quickly which pain points you think your solution might address. You can go straight into and go, oh, we do this. Wonder if there's a place for this in that marketplace, and tease it out. Now, remember, these exist for all the 7 main sectors, but it's also really important to point out that we have in Canada such a broad network of clean tech needs that there is sometimes a brand new marketplace for some European innovation which we don't even know about because it's never existed. These solutions have never been brought to the table. So we encourage you to come forth with your ideas, with your solution, to say, we do this, we can do that. And sometimes we found the most exciting places are where we brought a European technology and a Canadian technology together into a third product or service, where the two combine into something that goes, therefore, into something brand new. And it can go back to Europe. It can go out to the world. So next slide, please. And this is the quick summary of all the 7 sectors. I can finish quicker, buy us a little bit of time. So that everybody understands. If you have any questions, fire them in, because we can go into the detail anytime. But this gives you a big overview, and I encourage you to go into the key sector fact sheets. They go into a lot of detail. It's taken quite a bit of effort to try and summarize these complex spaces as quickly and succinctly as possible. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Jay, for this very detailed overview of what the Canadian market can offer and where actually can bridge and bring together the Canadian buyers and in the EU SMEs. So now we will spend some time to a very key topic that is also cross-cutting. We're going to talk about circular economy, and we are very pleased to have together with us one of the best. We have Freek van Dijk, the CEO of Holland Circular Hotspot, and Holland Circular Hotspot really aims to accelerate the international, not only European, transition to a circular economy, and is doing that by connecting companies, knowledge institutions, and also local authorities, and through that supports international collaboration and knowledge exchange from the Dutch circular economy. And we know very well that they have also set an example, a best practice for the formulation of other circular hotspots in the EU. So we're very pleased to have Freek with us that will bring some, as I said, local insights and touch upon this cross-cutting sector that circular economy is, and what circular economy solutions could bring in the wider actually spectrum that Jay has presented to us. So Freek, over to you.
Thank you so much, and hello everybody, pleasure to be with you. Next slide, please. I'm the guy with the nicest job in the Netherlands because I can accelerate circular economy at the international level and share lots of best practices from the Netherlands and Europe to other places and mutually inspire each other. Very shortly what we do, basically we have 4 pillars: offer, demand, match, support. We show what the Netherlands has to offer in terms of sector innovations, best practices from companies and technologies, but also the hard-learned lessons from our government. We make very specific publications, for instance, about circular buildings, circular manufacturing, chemical recycling, but we also show what demand is in some other countries. We have our country reports, for instance, for Canada. And the nice part is, of course, when you bring offer and demand together in sessions like this, to webinars, but also in trade missions, which I hope many will follow, but also it can be keynotes or trainings, for instance. And then we help entrepreneurs to find the right instruments or access to financing. Next one, please. So one of the country pages we made was in Canada. Basically, it's just a 2-pager, but it's are probably reports which actually are being read. What's the regulatory development? What are the facts and figures when you compare, for instance, Canada and the Netherlands? And what are the key opportunity areas? For instance, for Canada, we identified circular construction, plastics and waste management, and agriculture and food waste management. Let's quickly go a little bit deeper on these sectors, but we have already heard a lot about some sectors. Next one, please. Now let's look at biomass and food. If we want to feed the world in 2050, we need to increase food production with 56% without using more land, diminishing actually the greenhouse gas emissions and reducing also other emissions like nitrogen. And the food should be affordable and it should also be healthy. That's quite a big challenge actually. And the Netherlands is the 2nd largest food exporter in the world after the US. That means we're very keen on innovation and how we can not only be efficient in food management, but also circular. And if you look at the value chain from the beginning to the end, actually, we have to come up with new circular innovations. Reduce food waste is another one. On the right side, you see a number of best practices, examples. And if you go to the middle, you see on the left side the spillage factory, the Verspillingsfabriek. Basically, when you have food which is end of date, you can no longer sell it, but the food is perfectly suitable for making pastas or soups. That's, for instance, what the spillage factory is doing. And that's also something what Goodly in Vancouver is doing. And this is basically something you would need everywhere because Canada is quite a big country. If you think about producing food very efficiently and feeding the world in a way where you're very efficient with water, with waste flows, with CO2, think about greenhouse gases. That's something which companies like Priva are doing, but that's also something which Growy is doing on the upper right with vertical farm solutions. We have a nice company called Fruit Leather. They basically use the mangoes, which you can no longer eat, which arrive in the port of Rotterdam, and they can make leather out of it for bags or shoes, to name something funky. Companies like Downy, part of the Cosun Group, they valorize peels from potatoes or carrots into feed for animals or extract proteins for alternative, let's say, meat replacements. And when you have this called pyramid from food to feed to materials and chemicals, you can think about using the fibers, natural fibers for building applications. That's what our Natural Fiber Application Center is doing. They learn what you can use it for, what are material technologies, but also how you can apply it. Companies like BioRizen, a Dutch-Flemish institute, is basically seeing how we can make chemicals from organic residues, which can replace, say, chemicals made from oil and gas. And if you can't make food out of it or feed or materials or gas, you can always make energy out of it. And in the lower right, you see the waste transformers, which is basically a digestion unit, which creates biogas and let's say fertilizer, the digestate. And this is a containerized compartment. So it's not only a huge scale compartment, but something which can be used decentralized. Actually, they have one in the Ajax soccer stadium in Amsterdam. Could it be a solution for the food waste in all your sports stadiums? Let's look at another example. And then we go to construction. Well, construction, if there is one sector which we definitely need to tackle if we want to have a future, if we want to make our cities sustainable and zero waste, it's the construction sector, because it's 50% of all material use. It's half of total energy construction. It's 1/3 of water consumption, 1/3 of waste generation, and 38% of greenhouse gas emissions. So we have to tackle this. Now, in the Netherlands, we have quite a big challenge, and that means also quite a big of innovations, because we have a building challenge. We have to construct 100,000 houses every year till 2030. And the circular strategies we have, for instance, is topping up, building on existing buildings, using new materials, bio-based materials, circular materials, using smaller floor spaces. So basically think also about apartments, repurposing empty offices, and also industrial building. Instead of building on-site, do it industrial, do it prefab, and applying that. Now, just an example, there's a regional building company called Hegeman. They are very keen in industrial building. They could share this technology with Canadian builders and a license, for instance, but they are very much in demand of bio-based prefab materials. So could the wood industry provide them with solutions? If you look on the examples on the screen, on the upper left, you see Madaster. It's a material cadastre. If you know where a material is in a building, you can retrieve it. And it actually, a building at the end will have a maybe 30% residual value, and that instead of just a demolition price as a cost. If you look on the upper right, you see Basilix, and that self-healing concrete repair is better than demolishing it and building it up again. So self-healing concrete, very interesting. On the middle, on the left, you see LEDX. And LEDX use the waste products, the plastics in between your window screen of cars, which normally you have to discard of as a cost, and they use it as a LED replacement to seal roofs, for instance. One to the right in the middle, Bio-Based Creations, is a demo site that shows how much bio-based materials we have, which we could use. Think flax, think hemp, think fibers, think mycelium. We have lost this tendency a little bit, but it's natural materials which could definitely provide solutions. SciBe 3D printing is what it says. If you have 3D printing, you have no losses. It would be very efficient to use. And Kulu, basically they spray furniture or interiors using residual waste products, like could be pieces of leather, pieces of wood. And the new Expo, the Osaka Expo building of the Netherlands uses their technology, for instance. So I think there are plenty of opportunities in the sector of construction. Let's go to the last one, which is waste management. Next slide, please. And you know, let's say waste management is a last resort. We should prevent that there is waste. So you should have the 10R strategy from reuse, repair, refurbish, and then only recycle. We all know that. But waste management, if applied well, it can be a catalyst to a circular economy. Waste for one can be a resource for the other. Let's immediately go and no. When you think of waste management, it's about collection, sorting, upgrading, composting, digestion, waste to energy, or landfilling. You can do that for municipal solid waste, commercial industrial waste, construction and demolition waste, monoflows like plastics, and in plastics you can do mechanical recycling, chemical recycling, bio-based plastics. And in all of this, I think we have to try to see that we close the loop very efficiently. Let me look at the example. The upper left is excess material exchange, and they always say we are the Tinder in waste management. Basically, they say we are a dating site for materials. So residual flows for one are a resource for another. Think of a railroad with all the beams that they use in between tracks. If the track is being renewed, then they have all these beams. Where could you use these beams? That's their work. They take care of the logistics and they find somebody and make sure that the specs meet. When I look at Canada, I see a big country with some really interesting big cities, but then also lots of smaller villages. What about decentralized wastewater treatment units from Bluecon? It's a perfectly small-sized solution which you can use decentral. The picture in the middle, the waste treatment technologies, is actually from Surrey near Vancouver. Dutch technology for composting at very, very large scale. In Canada being applied, and as organic waste is probably 50% of all waste flows, this is definitely something which needs to be followed up in lots of other places in Canada. As Canada has lots of biomass, also in the picture, Victor Goes Green, a Belgium solution, which uses biomass for gasification, which provides basically the gas for local energy. Same smaller scale host digestions would be another part. But we have lots of other waste flows which are quite an issue. Spray is a Dutch technology company which is finding a solution for our spray cans. They retrieve the gas and also all the materials. And now I mentioned just cans, but I could also talk about sport shoes, for which we have dedicated recycling machines. I could talk about diapers, for which we have dedicated solutions. So in the end, I think there's a world to win focusing on these kind of solutions. And I could continue with lots of other best practice from other sectors, but I have to limit myself with this. I just want to show you that in every sector, from the beginning of the value chain to the end, there are solutions, Dutch solutions, European solutions that find an applications in Canada. We just have to make sure that the right people meet each other, and that's why I'm so very happy with this program. Next slide, and I think that's the end slide. So. Yes, this slide actually is much fun because often circular economy is not one solution but multiple solutions. What you see in the background behind our colleague Vesna is a floating farm. This is a climate resilient solution, a farm in a city where spaces are limited. There's something like 25 cows walking there. Their feed is coming from residual flows from the city, old bread, old oranges, grass from maybe the local golf course. There is an automated milking machine. There is separation of the solids and the wet parts of let's say, the excrements of the animals. Downstairs, there is a vertical farm, and they milk milk and yogurt and robots here on this floating farm for the local community. So not one, not two, but probably 3 circular solutions coming together. And that's circular economy in action. And back to you. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks so much, Freek. First, I would like actually, to thank you to be so much detailed and going through all these examples and really, showcasing that in real world that this matchmaking can take place because it already exists. So in a way, kind of anticipate some questions maybe from the audience, those that are here together and those that we're going to, to watch the webinar at their own pace. If this program can produce really business matches. So thanks very much both to you and Jay that showcase that this is happening. And I would like also to highlight your last words about the need of putting the right people together. And this is what LCBA Canada is aiming for. So this is why this platform has been created to really much make the solutions with from the European SMEs to the Canadian buyers. So now we would like to open the floor, just 5 minutes for any interactions, any questions before we move on with showcasing actually the B2B platform and the website, because there was already a question about how companies that they are interested can apply to the LCBA platform. So we'll go into that. But before that, I would like to open the floor for any comments or questions, and we will have also some more time for that at the end, closer to the end of the webinar. So feel free to either raise your hands or leave your comments in the chat or questions. So far, I do not see any. So on one side, maybe, this is a positive message that we have been so much detailed and we have covered a lot of questions from the audience. Or people would like a little bit more time, and it's already time that we go through the demonstration of how the application process work and walk you through the website and features and how it functions, and again to repeat the benefits of participating in the LCBA.
Thanks, Maria. Good morning, good afternoon. Greetings from London. My name is Raghu Keshavan. I am the Deputy Team Leader for the LCBA Canada project. And I'm here to briefly walk you through the website, the online project platform that we've set up. There was already a question, as Maria noted, about how EU companies can apply to this project. So hopefully after this brief session, people will know exactly where to go to get more information and how to apply. Next slide, please. So just a quick slide on what we want to achieve here today. So first things first, how do you get there? How do you get to our website? The URL is lcbacanada.com. If you want, you can follow along and navigate to the site now. What we're looking to do is basically give you an overview of the project website and the interactive online platform, and also create a guide to show you where important features are available. Because like all online platforms, it's pretty self-explanatory, but knowing where to navigate to is always, is almost half the battle. And then finally, just a quick walkthrough of these features that we're going to look at. So next slide, please, Callum. Okay, so if you navigate to lcbacanada.com, this is the homepage that you will land on. Across the top, you will see a menu of different options. If you don't see it, don't worry. It's just because the page is small. You'll see a small, you'll see 3 lines in the top corner. You can click on those and the menu will show up. But of all of these options, because we're focusing a little bit on the European Union side of things, I thought it'd be useful to focus first on the partnership opportunities and then on how to register. Luckily, we won't need to navigate through lots of the website to get there. It's all quite streamlined. Next slide, please, Callum. So if you click through partnership opportunities, you'll see current opportunities. There are also many other interesting things under this tab. You can see what kinds of opportunities we have previously brought to the market under previous iterations of the LCBA Canada program. You can find more information about the LCBA seal, which is the award that we provide companies who create a business contract through this partnership. And you can read some success stories. But focusing on current opportunities for now, if you go to the next slide, you'll see what we have live and the opportunities that we're recruiting for at the moment. So these are 4 currently published opportunities. I think there are 6 on the platform now. I couldn't get a screenshot small enough to show you all of them. But you'll see that they cover a wide range of sectors, and we are actively recruiting European companies for these opportunities at the moment. Next slide, please, Callum. So basically, from the last slide, we clicked through to the housing opportunity, which Jay talked a little bit about just a few minutes ago. And as with any of the opportunities listed in the previous slide, if you click through, you'll find what we call the demand statement. So this provides you with a bit of context around what the ask is in the Canadian market, what kind of companies we're looking for, an overview of the problem statement, and indicative solutions of interest. So this will be provided for each of the market opportunities that we bring through LCBA Canada. And to apply to any of these is very simple. You just click the apply button at the bottom of the page. So next slide, please, Callum. So that apply button will take you to the registration page. And this registration page is in answer to the question that was asked earlier. How do EU companies or any companies apply to be a part of this project? And the simple answer is you register on our online platform. So once you get to this page, you can see that there are various different ways to register depending on what kind of entity you are. So for EU companies, you select the topmost option, you accept the conditions of use, and you click continue. And that takes us to the next slide, where you provide us with some brief information. This is important for us to collect because we are a publicly funded project funded by the European Union. So we need to collect information around the different levels of participation from different member states, which is why we need this information. Next slide, please, Callum. These are our eligibility criteria, which Jose showed us briefly in a previous slide. These are the criteria that we have to check to make sure that we are allowed to provide support to European Union companies, because those companies have to be A, headquartered in the European Union, and B, below a certain size. So we've built that into our registration process to make sure that any companies who get through to our project platform are already eligible for support. Next slide, please, Callum. This just briefly to show you, this is the next stage of the application form. All of this is just one page, but it's important to just highlight one feature here, which is that you can upload a presentation for your company, which allows us access to it as the owners of the platform, but is also something that other partner companies will be able to access. So they'll be able to understand more about your solution if you upload this additional information. So the moral of the story is the more information you can provide at this stage, the better your chances of actually using the platform to its full potential. Next slide, please. So once you've completed the registration, this is what you will see inside the platform. Our intention with creating this password protected project platform is to create an online community of participating companies, both in the EU and in Canada, and to provide you with the tools to identify and engage with potential business partners. So once you're in here, there are three things that you can immediately navigate to. The first one right in the middle, the large circle, is to allow other members of your company to log on to your company profile without having to go through the whole process. You just share the link with them, and it allows them to join the same company profile, so you don't create many profiles for the same company. And then the other two features are simply to look at the members who have already joined the platform and also who you have sent messages to. So these are the two key features to allow you to effectively network once you've signed up to the platform. As more and more people become members of the platform, you'll be able to use it to its best effect. So we'll share this presentation on the project platform so that all of the information that I've shared with you is available to you. We encourage you all to sign up to the platform to be able to take best advantage of the project, to be able to apply to the different market opportunities that we are bringing to market now and in the future, and to achieve your own goals. So I'll stop there. If there are any questions, I see there are lots of chats, so maybe I can take them one by one.
Yeah, we invite actually, if there are any questions about the functionality and how the application process work, please feel free. And there is also a question about what is funded for the EU companies that apply. Maybe a clarification here that the LCBA Canada services are completely free. If this is what the question is about, but Raghu, you want to say something, please?
Yeah, maybe I can just quickly take that. I think
Please.
what you said is absolutely correct. LCBA Canada is publicly funded. We provide these services completely free of charge. In terms of what is funded, we ourselves, the project, cannot fund anything directly. But what we often do assist with is when partnerships need to access financing to, for example, do a feasibility study or to launch a pilot project. We often assist companies with grant finance applications or some technical assistance to identify how finance could be obtained through creative means, through applying to government grants, through identifying investors, through creating third products. So all kinds of assistance can be provided, but this is all in kind. We don't fund anything directly. All of our services are provided free of charge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Raghu, for the clarification. I don't know if you, Jose, would like to highlight something on that point or make any additional comments on that.
Thank you, Maria. I think that Raghu covered it quite effectively. We are the LCBA Canada project is very much an accelerator. We're an enabler. We provide matchmaking services. We provide technical assistance. We bring detailed market information and opportunities. But yes, and we provide information about sources of funding and financing, but we don't directly fund. One thing though, going back to the platform, I would like to say thank you to Raghu for presenting the information about the platform. But Raghu, can you expand a little more on how people can share information about their technologies, about their solution with the LCBA
absolutely.
Canada project?
That's a good question. So, Callum, if you could go back a few slides, I think 2 slides. Yeah. So basically, the critical thing to do is to fill out your profile with as much information as possible. So in your company description, you can provide information about what kind of organization you are, what kind of solution you provide, what kind of information, what kind of companies you're looking to engage with. That's one part of it. The other part of it is that when you upload your presentation, that's something that we can make available on the project platform so that others can see it. A third feature, which isn't currently live, but we're working on it, is that you will be able to express interest in the sectors that you're interested in. So we will have you saw the breakdown of sectors that Jay talked about. So what we'll be able to do soon is allow you to express interest in one or more of those sectors. And then the algorithm in the platform will show you companies which are also interested in those sectors. So that's how you engage with other companies who you may be interested in. How you display your own wares and your own information and your own solution is through fleshing out your profile with as much detail as possible, because that's basically where people will be able to see the information that you provide us.
Thank you, Raghu. And that presentation, that information about your specific technology or solution will be one of the most valuable pieces of information that you can provide for us, because that is what will allow us to see how your technology or solution meets specific needs within any of the economic sectors in which we operate. And this is really how we begin to know about you. So thank you, Raghu. Thank you for that information.
Thank you. So just to close everything out, just when the Zoom call ends, a little survey window will pop up. We please request you to fill out the survey. It helps us to improve these sessions and create more value for attendees in future. It's something that helps us provide a better service to participating companies and stakeholders like yourselves. This webinar will be available on the project platform. I encourage you all to register. Please share the link and this information with any other members of your team who may be interested. And please feel free to get in touch with us if you have any questions, especially if you're a company and would like to collaborate with LCBA Canada. You'll see all of our contact information on the slide in front of you. And please go to our project website and look at the opportunities, the market opportunities that are currently live. We are actively recruiting for those opportunities at the moment. So if you think you have a technology or solution that applies to any of them, please feel free to get in touch at any of these emails or the info@lcbacanada.com email address that is also somewhere on this presentation. So with that, I'd like to close out. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for your time. Thank you to the presenters for their very detailed and informative presentations. And we wish you a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.